So my name is Darius Mora. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Reflectly, and we've been running advertising on TikTok for about at least more than 12 months. Reflectly started as the world's biggest journaling app, and since then we've acquired a bunch of other apps, and now there's a full sort of studio. I have a brief talk prepared for you guys today, so I'm going to aim for about 15 minutes, and I'm going to leave a chunk of time for Q&As. So make sure that you post your questions or save them, and then we're going to do as much Q&A. I think it's much more fun to do it sort of a conversation. But I'll talk about how to get started with advertising on TikTok. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for Reflectly and other apps as well outside of the Reflectly umbrella on TikTok advertising. So I've managed to learn a thing or two. And I was also lucky enough that I was whitelisted for a lot of the features before they came on. So I'm going to just dive in how to get started on TikTok. And these are some of the insights that are the most important, the sort of the 80-20 of what's the biggest impact that you can do to get started. So in general, we've seen that the performance on TikTok for across all of the apps, in general, we see lower CPMs, lower CPIs, but higher CPAs. It's still a very young audience. And it seems to be that a lot of companies might struggle to get to profitability. They can get a lot of installs, a lot of traffic, a lot of attention, but the audience doesn't tend to monetize or convert as well as some of the other channels. This is changing, and it's not true for all the apps, but in general, I've seen this across all of the apps. So something to keep in mind that when you do get started on TikTok, you need to make sure that you're watching not just the installs you're getting, but very much check the revenue you're getting from each of the channels, and specifically on TikTok. So that's general on the performance side. Then I have a couple of tips on the creatives, because creatives are the biggest difference between TikTok and the other channels. If you run ads on Facebook or Snap, the ad manager is very similar. Mechanics are very similar, so you were not going to get lost. But I think where people struggle the most is putting together the creatives they're going to perform. I've seen a lot of companies invest heavily into TikTok, but using their own creatives, kind of just reusing stuff from, for example, Snap that didn't work very well, and then they get disappointed with the results. So to make sure that the creatives that's the biggest difference between other channels. That's why I want to focus part of the presentation on TikTok. And just so you know, TikTok advertising was not available to everyone. I think they've just opened it up now, so anybody can apply to open an account, but you need to have a registered business. So unlike on Facebook or Snap, where anybody can advertise, you need to actually have a registered business to advertise on TikTok. So there's a bit of paperwork you have to go through, and it might take a couple of weeks. If you're struggling to get an account, a quick hack is just find a TikTok representative on LinkedIn. Anybody that works at TikTok in your region, reach out to them, and they might be able to help you to sort of get it up. I know for me, it took about a month before we actually managed to open the account, but now it should be much easier. So let's dive into the creatives. The biggest difference that I've seen as sort of the biggest outcome is that the influencer looking type of videos, which you see on the left side of the presentation, work much better than the produced types of videos. We've just seen that over and over again, is that TikTok is very a personal platform. People like to see people's faces on TikTok. And when you try to run creative that look like an ad, you will skip it very fast. And we've seen this difference already on other platforms like Snap and Facebook and Instagram, for example, but it's even stronger on TikTok. So if you're getting started, I would highly encourage you to get some micro influencers from your niche and get them to record videos about your app. If you don't have that, the easiest thing to do, and we've seen actually this work really well, you can just film the app as you're using it and then use that as a creative, even though it doesn't look like it's highly produced, but that's exactly why it performs well as an ad, because it catches people off guard. It doesn't look so shiny. It looks more like an organic post. The biggest difference between TikTok and Instagram is that, in terms of the creatives, is that Instagram is all polished and nice, and TikTok is much more raw and kind of natural. So on the left side of the creatives, you can see the three creatives we have from the influencers, and the one in the middle is literally just somebody using Reflectly and then filming their screen. This actually performs quite well. So if you don't have any resources, any budget, no money, you can just do this to yourself and run that as a creative. So that's the biggest difference. Well, we're not gonna go through all of them right now. There we go. Another point is to make sure that you're contextual. TikTok is quickly becoming a global phenomenon, and there's a lot of different countries and accents. Even if your app is only in English, but you should make it contextual. And we've seen differences in the types of creatives between the US, for example, UK, Australia, or Canada, and obviously other languages as well. So make sure that you can be contextual in that way. Not going to go through all of them. And a quick little hack that we've seen that works really well is to use text overlay. So here you can see a video of an influencer talking about really me. And you don't need to put subtitles on your TikTok videos because the vast majority of TikTok users have the audio on, very much an audio on platform, unlike Facebook and Instagram. So you don't need the subtitles, but what works really well is to have a text overlay and just use a phrase or a word to kind of represent what you're talking about. So in this particular video, she's talking about, taking care of yourself, self-care, self-love, sort of mindfulness movement. And just having that simple phrase in the middle of the video, we've seen that it helps convert much better. I don't know why, but this works across all of our creatives. So something you can try out for yourself, put a text overlay in the middle. Very quick, cheap hack that will improve your conversion rates. And one thing that's rolling out, so this feature is not whitelisted for everyone publicly, but it's soon coming out. So what you're going to be able to do is to boost influencers campaigns. So TikTok is its own influencer hub. I think it's called the creator marketplace for TikTok. And then you can have deals with influencers where they'll post videos about your app on their profile. And now they're releasing a feature. We already tested it with a couple of creators, so you'll be able to test it soon, where you can put money behind the creative, behind the influencer's campaign, behind their video from your ad manager. So the video still appears on the influencer's profile. And when somebody scrolls on the video, it says that it's by the influencer, not by your company. But you can boost the video and give it more exposure, more impressions by putting money behind it. We've run some early tests and we've seen that we had extremely low CPMs because it looks like a natural video. It's not ad, it's not like one of the sponsored videos. But we struggled to convert the users because the video doesn't talk about the app specifically. They're much more generic about sort of journaling or so many other things. So I think this feature is going to be very powerful, but they haven't really nailed it yet. Just something you should keep an eye on. And if you can run tests, I would definitely encourage people to run tests on doing the boosted influencer campaigns. And finally, I have an example, and unfortunately, TikTok doesn't have the open library for ads, just like Facebook does with the ad archive. So you can't see all the advertisers. If you use a tool like Sensor Tower or some of the other ones, you can pay for the subscription and they'll show you the creatives. But I think one good example of a company is called Replica. They are sort of your AI friend in app. And they've been using this creative and it works really well for them. And they've put a lot of money behind this creative on Facebook and TikTok as well, but it's performed very well on TikTok. And it boosted them to top of the category ranking in the App Store. It's a very simple creative. There's not much to it, but this resonates really well. And I think one of the reasons that it works so well is because it has a face in it and it gets people's attention. This just goes to show that you don't have to reinvent the wheel on TikTok. You can just do very simple short creatives. One thing really, I think what's important to remember is that TikTok, people scroll super fast. They scroll 100 miles an hour. So you need to catch their attention in the first 2-3 seconds. If your main communication point comes across in like 4th or 5th second, it's too late. People are going to scroll through. So make sure that you catch their attention and you communicate what you want to communicate at the very beginning and have something eye-catching at the beginning. If you don't catch them there, they're going to be gone. So that's just one good example of Replica. And otherwise, I'd recommend checking out, if you get subscription to Sensor Tower or similar tool, you can see the ads of other companies. So this is the end of the presentation. You can go to Reflectly, that app, and you can check out the product and then leave a good review if you like the app. And I think now is a good time to jump into a Q&A. If James, you have some of the questions, I think it's much more fun to do a conversation than just a presentation.
Sure. Great. Okay, well, we'll let everyone catch up with our feed, which is 20 seconds behind. So yeah, if you have any questions for Darius on TikTok advertising, or indeed anything else, you can leave them in the questions box or the chat. And I think
one more thing I can add before we jump to the questions. Something to notice: a lot of people, when they start advertising on TikTok, they might struggle with being able to spend the money. So on the difference between TikTok and Facebook is on Facebook, if your campaigns are just expensive, you're going to burn through your daily budget. Where your goal, the CPR, CPA, which is going to be very high, versus on TikTok, if you can't reach that goal, TikTok will not spend the money. So a lot of times when people start advertising, they struggle to spend their actual daily budget. The one way to, or there's two main ways to fix it. Number one is increase your bid, which most people don't want to do. And the second one is just try out more creatives that might be able to help you out. Because there's one thing to notice that at the beginning, you might struggle to spend your daily budget if you're not hitting your performance goals.
Got it. Okay, so to kick things off then, question is for you is, in terms of TikTok as a channel for you, you've obviously been one of the pioneers of this. You started using it, I guess, on an experimental basis, probably got into it via the influencer stuff. How big a channel is it for you now? Is it like one of the main ones or the main one? Or, you know, how has it evolved?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most significant channels. I think for us specifically, we got very lucky because we have a sort of product market fit and we have a product channel fit with TikTok. A lot of our audience is on TikTok, so this means we got very lucky with it. But we also try a lot of different ways. I think the three main ways to get attention on TikTok. Number one is the paid advertising, which is pretty what we talked about. Number two is influencer marketing, which we've tried but we haven't had huge success with. And number three is organic profiles. So with the organic, where you don't post, you just open a TikTok account and you do that. We've seen apps that have gone viral and gone crazy. For example, Zombie Run is a good example of an app that just went bonkers on TikTok and they skyrocketed to the top of the category ranking on the App Store. We haven't had a huge success with doing organic posting from Reflectly because it wasn't really personal enough. People don't like to watch brands, they like to watch people. And the only brands that did really well organically is the brands that were represented by a person. For example, the CEO or the founder was posting on TikTok and showing kind of behind the scenes videos. That has worked better than just trying to like show commercials of the app that never really works. There is still so much more demand for content than there is supply on TikTok. That's why you can get on the platform, have zero followers, post a really good video and get 1 million views, 1 million impressions. We've seen that happen. It's incredible. And it's still early enough where you can get on there and grow your personal brand as well, personal account. I got to like 30,000 followers in the first, I think, 2 months. So it's very much possible to get there and get a lot of attention, but that was my personal brand, not for Reflectly. So it's easy to get the personal attention. For the brand, you might have to be more creative and sort of show behind the scenes and not be too salesy, because people will sniff it out on TikTok very fast.
Got it. But it's safe to say it's going to be a key channel for you for 2021.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to become even more significant of an advertising channel, across the industry for everyone, not just for us. It's still growing super fast, and the numbers. I think the unit economics make sense, and they compare very closely to Facebook, Instagram, Snap, other channels.
Great. Okay, so the questions started flooding in, so let's get to as many as we can. So Peter Clerics is asking, in his perception, we would use TikTok if we're targeting a younger audience, less than 25, that may even be too old. Would you agree, or should we also see TikTok as a channel to create, overall awareness for our app?
Yeah, so TikTok, of course, like every other channel, started very young. But it's maturing very quickly. And I think the audience of 25 to 35, 35 to 45 then is very strong. And I don't know the exact numbers on top of my head right now, but it's definitely something I would try out. You can do demographic target everybody 25 plus. And I think it's worth the shot just because a lot of companies are surprised how well they can do on TikTok.
Great. And Carolina Helig is asking, how did you track the installs you gained through the TikTok campaigns? Was that via MMP?
Yeah, so right now, to run TikTok ads, you need to have a third-party attribution tool. So, Adjust or AppsFlyer or something similar. And that's how you track it. That has just been the requirement. If you want to do app install campaigns, you could do, web conversion campaigns using a pixel, and then it's a bit difficult to track, but third-party attribution tool.
Great. And next question from Alexander Morovzov. Hello. have you worked with gambling apps on TikTok? And did you have problems with moderation? I guess that would go for anything. There's probably a few different sectors, not that may be sort of on the verges, depending on the market. You know, could be casino or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing to say about TikTok is that they're much more strict in terms of what they show than Facebook. Even we, as a
Wow.
sort of PG-13 journaling app, we've had struggling with some ads not being approved. Definitely a problem. If you have anything controversial like gambling, tobacco, alcohol, anything close to being not very normal, usual, then you might struggle to get approved. For example, we even got shut down at first because our website says the world's first intelligent journal, and they didn't approve us because it was a definite statement. And they said we can't have definite statements in the advertising. So they're extremely picky with what they show, and the moderation is very strong. So you might have a problem if you're a gambling app.
And Diana is asking, what about the TikTok creator marketplace? What's your
Yeah, so
experience with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke about that briefly. I think in terms, if you want to do just influencer campaigns, then it's overpriced because the influencers there, I think their prices are very high. So it'd be cheaper to just reach out to TikTokers and do micro influencers at scale that way and reach out to them, DM and do deals. So I think if it's just for the influencer campaigns, go around the marketplace. But the one place that will make a lot of sense if you want to try experiment doing the boosted campaigns, like I said, the creator can make the video, post it on their profile, you can bring a lot of traffic to that creator by paying for the impressions they're going to get. We were one of the first companies in the world to do it. So it was still in beta and the results were not clear. But as they're going to fix the product, I think that's where the creator marketplace is going to be very interesting because no other advertising channel has the option where you just pay for an organic video to give it 1 million views.
So yeah, it's a bit of sort of unique chat, and I guess get in there now, start learning, and then as this matures, it's going to be it could be quite powerful if you really know the mechanics of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, getting the low hanging fruit it's fairly easy, and you can just spend a small budget, 20, 50 bucks a day. You learn a lot, the algorithm improves, and then you're just gonna, just like on Facebook, it's really good to start with a lookalike audience or custom audience you already have. And then the algorithm learns, and then suddenly just have a wide open targeting because the algorithm will target better than anything can do demographically.
Okay, and Natalie Biananda is asking, should you see TikTok only as an awareness channel or also for performance? How happy were you with your conversion rate?
Yeah, so definitely an awareness channel because you get insanely low impressions. CPMs are super low. Some companies can make the performance work as well, and to a certain scale that works. It very much depends on the product because you might have a really good product channel fit to make that work, I think. So I've seen cases for, it's definitely better for awareness, but I've seen companies make it work for performance as well. You might just hit a glass ceiling that's lower than on Facebook or Instagram.
Great. And Thomas is asking the question, well, if you're using the third-party tracking, what about the iOS 14 and IDFA? Is this all going to come crashing down next year?
Yeah, good question. So I don't think I'm allowed to say all this publicly, but I'm just going to say TikTok has a solution.
Okay, well, that sounds very exciting. So, well, Darius, you've been really generous with your time today. It's great how you come and share stuff with us, even as you've got this huge portfolio of apps. And we really appreciate it. And I can see from the engagement everyone else does today. So yeah, just want to say a big thanks to you. Where can, I think if people want to find out a bit more, we've got a link to your, I think you've got a course or something on TikTok. So we've added that there. And how else can people sort of find out more and get in touch?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So Reflectly.app, if you want to try out the product, you can go to dariusmora.com, my website, to learn more. I talk about a lot of this stuff. It's DARIUSMORA.com. And also the Darius Mora Show is a podcast where I interview app entrepreneurs and people and creators and talk about a lot of this stuff. So you can also check out the podcast. And I believe you're going to publish put a link to the course, which is the best-selling course about TikTok on Udemy.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Darius. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in person next year. But yeah, thanks for joining us and have a good Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, and
All
Merry
right.
Christmas.
Cheers.